It's Tasha the hair coach for some of you, and for others, instructor. Hi, welcome to our first class. I am so excited that you're here joining me, and I would love for you to take notes and ask questions in the comments below so that I can assist you better. Thanks. Let's get into it. Welcome to our first lesson. Today we're going to be talking about how to properly hold our shears. Well, the reason we need to know how to hold shears is number one, so that we don't injure ourselves. Number two, we don't injure the client. So the thing about injuring ourselves, we have this huge word called ergonomics. Ergonomics is going to come into play on how we care for ourselves as the stylist. How do we maintain health throughout the years when performing services? So, for instance, when we're dealing with shears, we are operating our muscles and tendons in our hands, in our arms, and even up to our shoulder. So we want to be properly positioned so that we can have longevity in the industry. As I mentioned before, I've been doing it for 26 years. So for me, it is vital that I hold my tools properly. So let's get into actually looking at the tools, and I'll take you through how we hold them and maintain them. So here are our tools. These are just a few shears that I have. They're not anything, I haven't spent a whole lot of money on them, but what I wanted to do is talk to you about the different handles. Let's talk about that first. Now here is an ancient pair of shears. They're taper shears. I've had them since I've been in the industry. You see, they're all rusted and old. But I wanted to show you this because this was considered industry standard at one point. These are called, this handle position right here is going to be actually called closed grip. The closed grip shears basically kept your ring and thumb on the same level. When you do that, you actually put stress on this portion of your arm, if you can see what I'm saying right here. You put stress on this area. You see how my fingers are closed together? See that? That's actually not a good position to keep your hand in. It can affect carpal tunnel and other types of hand injuries. So we want to make sure that we don't purchase these. I don't even know if they still make these. Again, these are called closed grip. Then it takes me down to the offset grip, which I have here. This is the offset. You see how the handle kind of slides in and slants, okay, compared to the straight. This particular shear is the next one that came about. It's missing the finger tang. They're old as well. So you would hold this, and this kind of still holds that finger and the ring finger and the thumb close together. See, I'm still pinching. Not quite as much as the closed grip. So this again is the offset grip. This next one, crank, is this particular style. If you look at this is a little more offset. They're also offset, but they're more offset than this particular brand. You see that it has the slant in it that the other ones have. These are more common now. You're going to take your thumb and then you're going to put your ring finger in here. And notice that now my hand is open much more. Notice that? Yes. So I was saying I wanted to show you as I'm holding it. So let's get further enough away. So when we're dealing with our cranked, this is our cranked, we're going to put our thumb in, our ring finger in, and the rest of our fingers will rest in the grooves. Okay. But you see how I have to elevate to get this position. I elevate really high. This 90-degree position will cause eventually shoulder problems along with arm pain. Also, because my hand is not resting as well as it can be, I may end up having some issues with carpal tunnel later on. But notice when I use this swivel, okay, this is the swivel, I'm able to completely rest my elbow. I'm not up at a 90 degree. I can rest it because if you notice, the angle of my thumb is in a neutral position, which allows me to open and close with little to no effort. Notice that I'm down, okay? You automatically have to lift. You see the arch in my wrist compared to the flatness. See that? Ergonomically sound. So now let's talk about the proper way to insert the fingers in your shears. We have our cuticle, okay? And we have our pinky. So this is, when I say cuticle, this is where the ring for the thumb stops, and this is where the ring for the actual index finger goes, okay? So we go in. If you have this particular brand of swivel, we do not want to stick the thumb all the way in, and you do not want to insert this ring finger all the way to the bottom. And the reason for this is, number one, you won't have the same amount of control that you have when it is resting on the cuticle area. See that? Okay. You're opening and closing. When I start with my students, I always have them do exercises because you're going to need to build dexterity in your hand. Your hand is not going to be accustomed to using your index fingers. And you guys are professionals, so you have gone through some training with holding your shears, but I always like to start off at the basics, move past the basics so that I know at least you have heard it from me, okay? So again, we're not going to go all the way in. We're just going to come to our cuticle to control our opening and closing. Now let's talk about the movement of the shear. The only part is the movable blade. And if you look at my thumb controls whether the blade moves and closes. So we don't do this. Open, close, open, close. We're not opening our whole hand and closing. We're just simply moving our thumb. Our thumb is in control of the movable blade, okay? So when that hair enters in, the movable blade is what's going to come down and create the cut. It makes it clean. We don't want to not have control of our shears. We want to go in smooth glides, open, close, open, close. The other reason why you don't want to have your thumb inserted too far in is because you'll need to be able to palm the shear. It's almost impossible to palm your shears if your thumb is all the way in, because then you're going to need to take your other hand and loosen it up and do all the just doing too much. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We want to have our thumb inserted right at the cuticle layer level right here, so that it's easy access to remove, to hold. You want to have good control over your shears. You want to get some that fit your hand properly. I personally have really large fingers, so I never need the inserts, but they have ring inserts that you can purchase to place inside of the finger holes, okay? They have that so that you can fit your shears properly. You want to have properly fitted shears. So here's the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and that's talking about the shear length. So you have short shears that are about 4.5 inches long. Then you have your medium that's like 5 to 5.5, and then you have your long shears, okay, 6 inches or more. So let's talk about that. Shorter shears are going to be, you're going to usually use that with me. We're going to do a lot of detail work, a lot of pixies, a lot of framework for shorter styles. Shorter shears work better because you're closer to the head. The closer you are to the scalp, the better it is to have your shorter shears, okay? It's more control. So how about in the middle of my video, my phone died. So I had to move some things around. But we were talking about shear length. I didn't forget. So when we're dealing with short hair, we want to go with the shortest shear. I believe this is about a 5.5, if I'm not mistaken. I don't feel like measuring it. Don't quote me, okay? I will use this one mainly when I'm doing short hair. I like this one because it gives me more control and I'm able to get in a little tighter, okay? When I'm doing bobs or say long hair, I'm gonna go with the longer shear. And the reason I go with the longer shear is because it will cover larger areas at a time as compared to the shorter shear. I'll show you. If we look at the difference here, you see the difference? I get a nice little, maybe about an inch longer with one stroke. Boom. Like that, and we're done. As opposed to me maybe having to do 2 strokes with this. The more strokes, the more room for error. So when you're doing longer hair or more of your blunt cuts, this would be the ideal type of length that you will want to go for. I got one last shear that I love. Can we say love? I love. I do a lot of natural curly textured haircuts. And when I do my curly cuts, I love this curved shear. See this? Nice and curved. When I'm getting in and I want to get me a really good angle, I'm going in and it's so long. When I want to go in, I'm going in one time, boop, and I'm done. I even got a little bit of hair on here. I was tired the last time I used these. It didn't do sanitation. Don't be like me. All right. So again, this covers such large areas. For instance, if I cut my weave, see that? I could, look how far I could actually get in cutting this hair. I can go right around in 2 strokes. I'm around the head. This is my curved shears, okay? Love them. But again, look at the length difference, okay? See the length. A lot of barbers use these shears as well when they're doing afros and any type of curved type of look, they use these. But I now use them for my textured hair ladies, okay? So now we're gonna take note of how different these lengths are. Again, my short ones, what are we gonna use that for? For my tapers, for my pixie cuts, maybe for my mobs, my lobs, excuse me, not mobs. We ain't trying to, you know, do nothing to nobody. We ain't calling a mob. For my lobs, I might use that. But for my longer hair, I'm going to go in with this. Whenever I need to cover larger surface, I'm going to use my longer shears. If I'm doing a bang and I want to just go in, boop, boop, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use the longer shear. Less room for mistakes. Got it? Then my curved shears are going to be used for my texty curly girls, my curly girls that live in a curly world. That's what we're going to use these for. I haven't used these for straight hair yet. I may experiment with you. Want to try? Let's try. Okay. So, recap, people, recap. When we're using our shears, we have 3 different handles. We have our closed grip, we have our offset, and we have our cranked and our swivel. Offset and cranked are kind of going to go hand in hand. Our closed grip, we don't like those because our closed grip causes our hands to tighten up right here. And if you're a vet like me, this is the worst pain in the world, okay? To have this tight, it actually causes lots of cramps and issues, okay? So we don't like the closed grip. But the offset grip or the cranked, they're okay if that's what you have, okay? Then you have your swivel. This is what the swivel is. So I don't want to confuse you. I just said the offset and I had these in my hand. Okay, this is, again, our cranked or our offset. Okay, this, again, is our swivel. Okay, swivel is going to be ergonomically sound. Now, my longer shears will be considered offset. Okay, this does not have a swivel, although I would love for it to have it. It does not. I hardly use these shears, okay? I only use them again when I'm doing really long hair or when I'm doing something where I need to hit a longer or wider surface. This is my baby. I use her all of the time. And I love the fact that when I put my hand in here, okay, I got them backwards, sorry. When I put my hand in, okay, I can just rest. My thumb is doing all the work. My fingers have somewhere to go, and all is well. You're going to see people doing all kinds of different movements with their shears. You see people coming in, and they're holding them like this. All kinds of things. Listen, it's wonderful. But what I'm here to show you is to be safe and to maintain safety every time you perform a haircut. I am so happy you joined me for my very first install of a class, okay? I'm so happy you're here. Again, if you're a professional, I want you to go over to the Facebook page and I want you to go ahead and sign up for the group, the private group, Cut Confidence, because I want you to cut with confidence. Thank you for joining me. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe and like this video. Tell me what you want to see more of, and I will deliver for you. Okay, thank you.